Welcome to the Fantasy Source Blitz podcast. My name is David A. Arnott, sitting here with Matthew Lutovsky. Are you looking forward to football season? And I'm being a little bit facetious with that.
Yes and no. I'm looking forward to the season actually starting, not the preseason. Because the preseason is not fun.
I have been to preseason football games. They are miserable.
Have you gambled on it?
No,
That's the ultimate. That's the ultimate. I have a friend who's gambled on it, and that's the ultimate sign that you're a degenerate.
I believe the term for that is nadir.
I think so. Yeah, it's not good.
Well, we've been putting out previews. We've started our series of previews on Fantasy Source Football. The redesigned Fantasy Source Football, I might add.
It's very exciting.
Drop and drag homepage, all that sort of stuff. Watch lists you can import from Yahoo. I mean, I can sell it all day long, but really, you should really just look at the videos that are up there and check it out. I mean, we're here to talk about football and the stuff that you can find on there. We're doing the NFC South previews, starting out with them. You wrote about the Falcons.
No, well, I wrote about the Bucs.
You wrote about the Bucs.
I wished I wrote about someone other than the Bucs.
Bill wrote about the Falcons.
Yes.
Bill used a very term that I was thinking right off the bat before I even clicked it open, which is that the Falcons are this year's trendy pick.
Trendy. They're very trendy. And to even further back that up, we have a thing on our regular football page on sportingnews.com where they had a scout rank the top quarterbacks. And Matt Ryan was 7th.
Really?
And I went, wait, what?
Really?
Matt Ryan? That seems odd. But again, it all comes back to what you said, this trendy feel to him. And, hey, he's in his third year.
Well, isn't that the story of Matt Ryan's entire career, though?
Pretty much.
Is that, like, at Boston College, he was pretty good.
Right.
But and the thing that I know I overlooked was that he had a pro coach, essentially, Jed Jasinski. And he was he has a lot of the poise and type things that people want. But when you get down to it, has he gotten better from that rookie year? Has he really improved with the weapons around him?
Right, and that's the thing. For fantasy purposes, that's what we care about.
Right.
We care about numbers.
I mean, he may make his team better.
Right, exactly. And I think we can all agree, is a good quarterback. Is a guy that if he was your franchise's quarterback, you wouldn't be upset. But for fantasy purposes, as a starter, he's borderline at best. And I think he's a great guy to get as a backup. But it's one of those things where people get wrapped up in the Falcons and Ryan and his rookie year, and it makes him seem better than he is.
Now, I mean, I know that our recommendation for the Bucs, and you mentioned the Bucs a little bit earlier, is going to be stay far away from that quarterback situation.
Yeah.
But do you foresee any kind of 90th percentile series of hope playing out for them?
For Tampa?
Yeah.
I mean, no, I don't. I know Freeman, he had a couple, heck, they beat, they had 3 wins last year, beat the Saints in New Orleans and beat the Packers. 2 good wins. I think they're the kind of team they'll pull off a couple of those shocking upsets just because they got some freakish athletes now at wide receiver, and Aurelius Ben and Mike Williams. And the running game's okay. Kellen Winslow we know can play. But, at least a year away. And for fantasy purposes, there's really no one but Winslow to like, and that guy's had 5 knee surgeries in the past 6 years.
I mean, but never underestimate the heart of a soldier.
Well, he is a soldier, and we can all agree on that. And his dad went to Missouri, so he's okay in my book. But
I had the pleasure of writing about the Panthers. Yes. One of the things that you realize after looking at the Panthers roster is just how much turnover there's been. They're one of the youngest teams in the league. Mm-hmm. But yet their key players are all getting on in age, it seems like. In running back years, D'Angelo Williams is actually kind of middle-aged in running back years. Even though he's had, I would say that he's been protected. He hasn't had that heavy of a workload. They've done a great job pairing him up with other running backs. He's not quite at the point where you start worrying about health, but it could happen anytime soon. Steve Smith. Talked about his situation. We're based in Charlotte, so we follow this very closely. Guy broke his arm playing recreational league flag football during the offseason against random guys at the YMCA. I'm really scared about that situation because they've got Matt Moore at quarterback. Mm-hmm. Hunter Cantwell actually is still number 2 on the depth chart. Right. And Jiminy Clausen is, while I love him as a prospect, no rookie quarterback does all that well. Right. So for fantasy purposes...
Well, Matt Ryan did.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Ryan. Yeah.
There we go. Was Kurt Warner a rookie?
Close, same difference.
Yeah, same difference. Yeah. I mean, I would figure that the Panthers, except for that running back tandem, they're also pretty much hands off.
Yeah, I mean, Smith is a guy who he's extremely talented, and you're talking about heart of a soldier. Like he literally has it.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm always cautious to not count him out because he's the kind of guy who turns the 5-yard screen pass into a 70-yard touchdown. But it's not an ideal situation for him, that's for sure. And coming off the injury, I think he'll be fine. But you never know. And like I know in the recent mock draft we did, I took the other Steve Smith, New York Steve Smith, one pick ahead of him, and didn't really think twice about it. It was just kind of like, it's just safer. It's just a safer guy.
I mean, at a certain extent, and this gets into drafting philosophy, even though just about anybody would agree that Carolina's Steve Smith is the more talented player right now, and you'd rather have him on your team, and you'd rather have him have your back in just about any situation. The New York Giants Steve Smith is the safer fantasy player.
Yeah, and there is a point though in a draft where it can happen actually very quickly, where a player goes from risk to value. It's like Steve Smith in the late 3rd round, risk. Steve Smith in the early 5th, now it's value. Like, it really can go quickly, and if you have a lot of owners in your league who are scared and he just keeps falling, he can be value. So you never want to go in with that mindset of like, I'm not taking this guy no matter what. But yeah, you raise good points. He's a little risky.
Now that brings us to the Saints,
Yes.
who are to me, they're a very fascinating team in that, for fantasy purposes, I don't know that there's been, well, I mean, really we're talking about the Patriots in their heyday as the only team, a great team that really only has one sure thing, as one guy who I would consider a sure thing in Drew Brees. Everyone else, they split things out so much that, you want them on your team, but on a certain level, who are you going to put your money on when you're choosing a wide receiver or a running back with them?
Well, it is true. It's like, it always seemed like with those Colts teams that were high powered and stuff, it was like Harrison and Wayne always produced. The running back, whoever it was, always produced. But yeah, with this team, like, Colston is really good, and you look at his overall numbers, you're like, well, those are really good. But especially from a week to week basis, which is what fantasy is, you don't know if it's going to be him, if it's going to be Meacham, it's going to be Devery Henderson and his patented 2 catches, 80 yards routine. Lance Moore, who's a guy completely forgotten. 2 years ago, he had, 900 yards, 11 touchdowns?
And then didn't he have something like 17 catches? Something crazy like that.
He was hurt all last year and everything. And then it's like, and then you got you got 2 tight ends. No one knows what to do with those. And even the running backs are kind of a mess. Like, everyone loves Pierre Thomas. He's a classic. He's one of these fantasy cult heroes where people are always like, why don't they play Pierre Thomas more? It's like, well, there must be a reason
because Reggie Bush is really good at catching passes.
And they have short yardage guys. It really is strange for this top offense to really only have one guy you feel great about.
Hey, well, you know what? That's the NFC South.
That's the NFC South.
I'm David A. Arnott, Matt Lutovsky. Thanks.
Do it again.